Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can add a Azure Active Directory user using Power Apps. So one of the neat things I want to tell you right off the bat is that the connector that I'm going to use is a standard connector, so this is not going to cost you any extra money over here. And then what I'm also going to show you is that when you're adding a user, it will first check to see, hey, does this user already exist? And if it doesn't, then go ahead and add. So before I go ahead and walk you through how to build the app, I already have a demo ready, so let me go ahead and show you that. But first, here's my intro. As a full confirmation about those connectors. So best way to see a connector, at least for me, is I go to the Power Automate over here, go to Home, and I go to Connectors. And in the connector area over here, I go ahead, come on, yep, right here, and I go ahead and do a search for Azure AD. And it goes ahead and tells me these are the Azure AD connectors that you have. But just to be 100% sure, I go to All Connectors and I change that to Standard Connector. And as you can see, the Azure AD connector, the one I'm going to use, is a standard connector, which means you can do everything I'm going to show you with your Office 365 users license over there. All right. So just thought I'll go ahead and take care of that right off the bat. So next thing I want to do is I want to show you that demo one that I already made. So I'll come over here to my test tenant and I'll go ahead and run the app. So the app is loading and I just call it as an Azure AD. I went ahead and built this as a portrait size form, and I built it for the tablet one. You can go and build this for a mobile one as well, but just for the sake of this demo, that's what I did. So the first one I'm going to do is live demo, and then I'll put in the number over here as 1555123 1234. Again, 11235550987. Department Innovation Technology. Job title Power Platform SME. Office location, I will put that as Redmond. And then enable account now. Yeah, I can go and do that as yes. And so what had happened is while it was running over here, it went ahead and even validated to see, hey, everything is good. And it even gave me the check over here that you can go ahead and use it. If this was an X, which I'll show you in some of the other demos, it'll go ahead and hit the submit will hide. In fact, let me show you that right now. So first thing is I go ahead and hit submit. And once the submit is done, let me just make the name, get the name, it's live demo. So let's come over here. Let me refresh and what I did was I've logged into the Azure, the portal over here. And in the portal, when I come in, I've gone into Azure Active Directory, gone into users. And just to make sure I got the name correct, it is live demo. So I type that in, live. And right here, I've got that live demo. That's the one I just built. I built it in Power Apps. And as you can see, it directly goes ahead and adds that user to Azure AD. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue and do another demo. So let's just say that I come in and I just, start typing in everything, like the name. I'm going and typing in everything. And I put in demo. And as you can see, now two things happen. That changed to an X, and the submit button went ahead and disappeared. So what it's telling me is that you can't use this because this user already exists. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and change that to 2. And it went ahead and validated. It says, yep, you have the option to add this user, and now the submit button is there. So I click on the submit button, go back into the Azure user, I'll just refresh that. And as you can see, the second user shows up over here. So if this has caught your attention, let me now show you how I've gone ahead and built that. All right, I'm going to build it from scratch. So let me just grab this section over here so I can reference it. Yep, that's the one. Let me go ahead and just keep that over here. And now we come and start building a new one. So I'll create here. It's going to be a Canvas app, so don't forget about that. And I'll do again another tablet layout. And I'll try to do a portrait design as well. But first things first, never forget, go ahead and save your app. So I'm going to call this as live demo Azure AD add employee, and come to the screen orientation. I'll change that to portrait. I'll keep everything else as is, and I go ahead and apply it. So I come in here, and first thing I want to do is I got to come here, and I'm going to go ahead and add my connectors. So the connector that I need is Azure Active Directory. So I'm going, and if you don't have it, then you can come over here to see all connectors, and then you can go ahead and add a connector. So you can go ahead and take care of all of that. In this entity and specifically in this environment, I have already got this all done over here. So come back here, and in my connectors, I'm going to click on it, select that, and it goes ahead and adds it. So I've already taken care of my connection over here. So now let me go ahead and start adding some controls over here, and you can see that I'll, those are the fields that I want to add. So I'm not going to make this look as fancy as the demo that I showed, but at least you can see what is going on, all right? So the first one is I'm going to come here and call this as the first name, and I'll change that, take the input out, and the hint is add first name. That way you know what's going on. Okay. Next, we'll do Control-C, Control-V, and it says add last name. Now remember, in Active Directory, you will also hear this as the terminology surname. I've just gone ahead and said add last name over here, but remember, when it comes to Active Directory, it's also called as surname. All right, let me keep going on. And now next thing I want to do is I'll call this as the mobile number. So add, if I come add mobile number, and I'll give an example. It's 1 1 2 3 5 5 5 1 2 3 4. Just give an example over here. Change that to and this is going to be mobile number. Control-C, Control-V. Go ahead and call this as add business number. And it's important that you change the variable names, the control names over here, because that is going to help you with that final formula that we're going to use over here. All right, so keep going on. I need to add 3 more, so I'll just go ahead and do some copying over here. Control-C, and I'm going to copy these 3 over here. Let's start from the bottom one. This is going to be the business. I already have the business phone number, so this is going to be department. So add department. Department. Next is job title. Add job title. Change that. Job title. And then office location. Add office location. Now the reason I'm doing all of this is to show you that, hey, these are all the attributes that I can add. One of them actually, and that's the business number. There's a little bit of a workaround that we have to do over there, and that's why I wanted to show you how that happens as well. So, and then I can also, there's the option to enable account. For enabling account, I need to add a label. So that way you can just see enable account label, and I'll say over here enable account now. Put that in so you can see that, and I'll go ahead and add a radio button. Not radio, a toggle switch. That's what I meant. Toggle one. Toggle control. Enable account toggle. For the toggle, I'm going to make a little bit of a change. What I'm going to do is I can either do it here. Yeah, I'll do it over here. Is the true or the false text is going to be no. And then the true text is going to be yes, true text. So I took care of that. And then after this, I want to actually go ahead and add some more controls. That way you can see how the information is going to be loaded. And it's important that we put that over there because that's also how I will capture to see, hey, does this Active Directory's user profile, or the technical term is UPN, does it already exist over there? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and now add some verification controls. And there's actually only 3 of them, so let me just capture these 3. Control C, Control V, and what this one does is it helps verify. So this one is going to display me the name, the actual display name. Because the reason I want to display the name is because we're adding the first and the last names individually. I just want to show you together, this is what that name is going to look like. And so for that, it's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and say the display name's default is going to be this way. Dot text, and there, and last name. What happened here? Surname. All right, I put that as surname. Let me just change that to last name. That way I'm not confused. Okay, so that should take care of that. Now this one is going to be the place where I show the user's email address. That will be gone ahead and not the email address. It's going to be the nickname. Nickname is an option available in Azure AD, so I'm going to just go ahead and show you how that can be done as well. So it's called mail nickname, and the mail nickname is actually the exact same as the one we did over here. So I'll go ahead and copy that and paste that over here. And then the final one is the UPN name, and that is again very similar, but we got to go ahead and get our at, after the at and the company name. So here I'm just going to go ahead and change that to a dot, and then also add, and here will be the at and then your company name. So what you have to do is you got to make sure you know what that company name is. And in my case, it is the at M365X 136.542 at onmicrosoft.com, but yours could be at and then whatever else is dot something. So make sure you get that correctly. So I'm going to make sure that since I haven't made any mistake in the typo, I'm going to already copy one that I have it pre-typed. What does it? Oh, yeah, there's 2 over here. So you went ahead and put that. So this is basically what it does. I'll also add a button, because the button is where I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. We'll work on the button a little bit later. I'll just put the submit button for now. Submit. Let me also make sure I get these correct over here. So this is going to be the user principal name. Principal name. This one is it's not the mail name. Yeah, it is the mail name. So we pretty much got that over here. Now I want to move this out a little bit because I'm also going to do a verification check. Verification to see, hey, is this one, is it the actual way that it'll work? So let's see. Okay. Icon, I'll go ahead and add this one here. It's on the top. Let me go grab it down right here. And I'll call that as just the icon. Or I guess there was already one. So we'll just keep that as icon over here. Okay. So all said and done, we've at least got all the canvas section built over here, at least the look and feel of it, and we've gone ahead and added all the controls. Now let's go ahead and start working on some of the formulas that we need. So for the first one over here, as you can see, I already went ahead and added that default formula, so that's good. This one, also default formula, that's also good. And then we've taken care of that. Now, what I want to do is in this case, when I come here, I want to check and see, hey, how does that verification work over here? So in the verification on the Azure AD, there's a function called Azure AD get user. Now, there's a little bit of a trick to that. What the get user does is it first of all goes ahead and takes whatever is the existing user that you have, sends it, and say, hey, return me the ID of this user. That's what we're doing. If the ID comes back as blank, then we know that, hey, this user doesn't exist. So that's basically where we're kind of playing around with Power Apps over here. We're just assuming that, hey, Power Apps, this user actually exists. Go ahead and get me the ID. ID comes back blank, that user doesn't exist. But we kind of already knew that, based on the testing that we're doing. So we're kind of working around the system over here. But it works really well. Now, there's one catch, and I'll talk about that catch at the end. Nothing to be over concerned about, but it actually happens. So let me go ahead now, first, before we go and play around with this one, let's put the actual submit button. And I want to walk you through that over here. So in the submit button or on select over here, we're going to use the function called Azure AD. And the AD, it has the create user. So you start typing in, and it's the create user. Now in the create user over here, if you type that in, you see that there is a certain amount of attributes that you have to put over here. Now there's a limitation on these attributes, and I'm going to kind of walk you through by filling up all of these, and I'll even show you which one of the attributes you can't do. So in the account enabled, the account enable is pretty much just a true or false. And so the account enable, we're going to get from this toggle switch. Basically what I'm saying is that, hey, I want to go and create that Azure AD account, but you want it enabled. So I'm giving you the flexibility over here that you can already go and create the account, but it's not enabled over here. Or you can go ahead and create the account and go ahead and enable it, giving you both the options over here. And I like that the create user function also gives other options. So here, I'm going to go ahead and grab this toggle switch. And that's what it's going to be, dot value. So we took care of that one. Next one is the display name. So the display name over here is the exact display name that we've got over here. See that? That's why I went ahead and did this little concatenation one over there. So now for the display name, I'm just going to go ahead and grab that. Dot text. And after that, I've got the mail nickname. Well, we already know that the mail nickname is right here. So let me go ahead and grab that, put that in, and dot text. So we've got the mail nickname. Now the next thing that we need to do is the password over here. The password is kind of very interesting. What we have to do is we're going to tell Azure AD that when we're creating this account, here's the temporary password that I already want you to go ahead and assign over here. But over there, I want to make it such that when the user logs in, well, for the first time the user logs in, he or she has to use this password, and that's the password we're setting up over here. But I also want to go ahead and add this extra security function that when the user logs in, he or she absolutely has to change the password. We need to force the change of that password over here. And that is what we are doing over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and now change that to a different line, so it makes it easier. And this formula needs to come inside of brackets. Now, what I'm doing over here is actually not shown in this syntax over here. That's why I kind of wanted to walk you through that this is how you do it. Because this is the only way that it does. You got to put that inside the curly brackets, and you got to go ahead and put these attribute names over there. And that's the only way this works. So that's why I want you to walk you through that. Now this password that I'm typing in is hard-coded, which means you also have to type in over here. This is not a variable or anything that I'm picking up. You've got to type that in over there. Just like that password. Maintain even the case sensitivity. It all has to be lowercase. It is very picky. So do exactly the way I'm telling you, is that needs to be typed in, that password needs to be typed in. And then after that, you can put in whatever else you want as the password. So I'm going to put this in as my password. At 1 2 3 4 5, whatever is the password I'm putting in, but that needs to be there. And then after that, you got to go ahead and type this in as well. It's called force change password next login. Again, this is very case sensitive, and it needs to be the exact same way I've typed that in over there. So make sure that you see that very closely as you do that. And for that, I'm going to leave that as true. All right, so we're moving forward. And then the next thing that I want is the user principal name. The user principal name is coming from here. So that's pretty easy. Go on ahead and grab that, put that in, dot text, and we're good. Moving along. Yeah. So now that it's interesting because now that I've put the comma over here and I've already gone through and put this, it shows me the remaining amount of things I can add in over here. Now let's focus on that. First of all, the added functionality of all the attributes that I can put in wasn't available before. It's only after I put in that user principal name did it tell me that, oh, by the way, you can go and put all of these other things in. But these other things, they also have to be put inside these curly brackets over here. And then you've got to go ahead and make sure that all these other names are there. Now, if you notice that after this preferred language text, there is no ... What that means is that these are the only attributes that you can go ahead and put in over there. Now, trust me when I said that, I actually did try, because I went to the Azure AD and I looked at the docs of that, and I saw that these are all the other attributes that are available. Things such as cell phone number and so on and so forth. They're available. However, through this connector, it will not accept them. It actually starts giving you those squiggly error lines over there. So right now, as we stand, these are the only attributes that you're allowed to put in through the Power Apps connector over here, right? I mean, still, it is huge because you're able to go ahead and create a full connector, full user directly from a Power App using just the standard license over there, right? You could just build that as a mobile phone and it works over there. So this itself is huge. Now, what I'm telling you is by no means a negative thing. I just want to call that out, all right? So let's do the first one. It is the given name. Again, type it exactly the way you see it over here. Nothing that you want to change, but just the exact one, right? So I'm going to do given name, and my given name over here is actually, given name means first name. So let me go ahead and grab my first name, which is right here. When I click on the first name, and if you've noticed, I do this a lot. I just double click on it, gets highlighted. I do a Control C, and that way I've gotten the name. The reason I do it this way is that for whatever reason, if I did have a typo over here, then I'm not wasting any time in my formula trying to type in and say, oh, what was the name of my first name? Why is this not working? That's because I made a mistake. I went ahead and made a typo over there. So just to eradicate any time wasted over there, I just go and double click on this, and then I Control C it. So hopefully, then this helps me. Hopefully it'll help you as well. All right, did that. And I go ahead and grab the text as well. And so far it is working. So next thing is surname, which is also last name. So let me type that in, do the exact same that you know how I do it, is I come over here, last name, double click, Control C, go back here, and pasting it. So far, it is liking everything I'm doing because I'm not seeing any squiggly lines or any yellow squiggly lines, which means it is moving along. Next thing that I have is business phones. I'm going to skip business phones for now because as you notice, it says business phones table. So I'm going to wait to talk on that, but let's switch that and come to department. And again, it doesn't have to go in that order. I can always do something else, but for now, I'll just skip business phones and we'll go to department. Department, again, here, click on that, double click, Control C, coming back, dot text. And we've got, what else? We've got job title. So J-O-B. The J is lowercase, but the title's T is uppercase. So I'm making sure I do that correctly as well. The job title is here. Control C. I'm making good progress. We're moving along. What else do we got? What else do we have? Job title. Phone, the mobile phone, that is just a text. So that should be pretty straightforward. So it's mobile. That's why I'm not skipping that one, the mobile phone, like I skipped the business one. Business one, the reason I skipped it is because it's asking table, and I'll deal with that in a second. But the mobile phone is just a text. So I'm going to move along for the mobile phone. There's too many mms over there. Phone text. So you've got the mobile one, so I can go and grab that, pasting it back here, dot text, and you can go ahead and add now, what else? Department, job title, mobile phone. All right, so now let's go ahead and focus, and I could put in the office, let's put the office location. I can get the office location from right here. Missed that one, so let me just get the office location and get that also done. Okay, so now let's focus on the mobile one, on the business phone. So remember, it says business phones, so it's doing plural. So let's attempt to do it the same way as we did for the mobile phone. So I'm going to type in BUSINESS business, uppercase P phones, and then let me just go grab that business phone and see what happens. That's the business one. Double click, Control C, come back. Dot text, the exact same way as I did for the mobile phone, but it doesn't like this over here. In fact, the error is kind of misleading, but what it wants is, it says, this is the answer. This is how I figured it out. It says it wants a table of some kind to put this over here. Now, as you all know, I am not a big fan of Power Apps tables. In fact, I use it very rarely. I personally go with only using galleries, and I can make a gallery even look like a table. Tables just have been a little bit challenging, and I run into a lot of limitations. So when I saw this table, I was like, oh man, do I have to use a table? So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to try it with the gallery. Let's see how that works. And I'll tell you, it actually worked really well. So what I did is, and I'll show you, what I did is I went ahead and on the submit button itself, I did two things. I went ahead and actually created a gallery. And then in the gallery, I'm basically taking that text that I have, this business phone text, I'm adding it to the gallery. And then in the formula for add user, I go ahead and get the first value of the gallery. Let me show you how that means. I think you get it. Let me show it to you. So on submit, right on submit over here, I'm going to now go all the way to the top because that has to be the first thing. And right on top, I put in, and just let me know, I put the semicolon ahead over here. And I'll do a clear collect. Remember, clear collect means I'm going to go ahead and make a collection. And I'll call this one as BUSS business phone collection. And then here I can go ahead and get the actual text for the business phone. So let me grab that, Control C, and come back over here, and I'll paste it in, dot text, and then I can go ahead and actually close that. Now I come back over here and I grab the first one, say first, and then it already tells me, IntelliSense already says that these are the only two options you have. So I go and grab that one, close it, and voila, the error goes away. And another thing is I didn't use the table. I actually went and used the collection, and because the collection and the galleries, I kind of said them as the same thing. But you know what I did? I did not use the table. I went ahead and just used that collection over there, and it works really well. The key thing is you got to do a clear collect. Don't miss that. It's just got to be a clear collect, because if you just do collect, you're going to keep adding more and more phones over there of a business phone number. So make sure it's clear collect, and then put it way on the top right there. Is the first thing that happens when the button is clicked. And then in the business phones over here, that's where you go ahead and hit that's where you go ahead and add the number over there. Now we're almost done. What I want to do is I want to focus on this guy over here. So what I'm basically saying now is that, hey, I want the icon. Yeah, that's fine. I should do that. I want the icon over here to remain, first of all, as a check. If I'm sending the value, whatever is the existing name over here, I'm going to go ahead and first do a get user. I'm doing a check against Active Directory and saying, hey, does this already exist? If it comes back and says, no, it exists, which means the is blank is not false, then it'll go ahead and tell me that, hey, that is, it is there, which means go ahead and change that check to go ahead and make it as a X over there. That's basically what I'm trying to do. So let me show you, okay? The formula that I'm going to do is basically I'm adding a if, and then I'm going to use the is blank, and let me actually go ahead and just put a comma over here, and I'm saying if blank Azure AD dot get user, it's get user, and then what user am I referencing? I'm referencing this one. So I'm going to go ahead and get Control C, Control C over there, and then I come back to this formula, and I'm going to put that in the get user that I'm doing. I want you is this name over here. Whatever is the name that gets auto-generated based on everything that I type, go ahead and take that name and use it in the get user function and tell me what it returns. So I put that in over here, After that, I'm telling send me something. If the user is there and if it's not blank, send me something. So what I'm saying is I'm going to go ahead and just send me the ID. All right. It says send me the ID, and I go ahead and say if it's false. If it is false, then keep the icon check as cancel. Because what I mean is that if it goes ahead and sends something, and if the user if the user already exists, then say that, hey, you can't use this because it's canceled. All right, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to put that as cancel, or you can even go ahead and say icon cancel, whatever works for you. So actually I already had icon. That's why I selected cancel. Otherwise, go ahead and say icon dot check. All right. Received 3 expected ones. Let me just stop this for a while, and we'll go ahead and do a full test. And we'll see, because we are actually done as far as building it. And if that may not be working, it's because we haven't done anything to it yet. So let me just do a full test, and then we'll see what happens. All right. So let's now do a test. First name, I'm going to say, what was the one I used before over here? It was live. So I'm going to say test demo. And over here is mobile number. So I'm going to say 15550011234. And I'm going to try to do the same thing with the mobile one as well. A business one, 15550001234. Department, innovation, technology, job title, power platform, expert. Location, I'm going to basically say we are in Redmond. Do you want to enable the account? It says yep, I'll go ahead and enable the account. And it already went in and generated the name, which is test demo over here. Remember, that's the user's display name. Job title, that should have been actually the user's mail. So let's see what we missed over here. All right, I think we should have just copied it and pasted it. Probably did not. That's what happened. So I'm going to click submit. Let's see what happens. It is going through, went in successfully. It's a test demo. So if I let me just change that, refresh. If I type in test, oh, because I need to put in the double quotes over here, missed that. So let's try that again. It was test demo. Let me hit submit. Yep, it came through, the test demo. That's the one I just built. But let's go and check over there. The test demo, I went ahead and put in all the information is coming through, including the phone numbers, the Redmond, it all came through over here. But now let's go back in over here and just say, I'm going to delete this test. I'm going to type in test. And now let's see what's happening. So it's, for some reason, it's not liking this. Let me just go ahead and say on the icon, let's just wipe this off and try this again. So if is blank Azure AD dot get user, and the user's name we're getting is actually the principal name, which is this one here. Principal name, it's text. I'm going to go and close that, get its ID, close it over here, equals false, then go ahead and get me the icon dot cancel. Otherwise, get me the icon dot check. Close it. There you go, it's working now. Well, I'm not sure really what happened, but we went in and typed it through. So let me just tell you how this is working. Now we are going to go ahead, we're making the attempt to go and create another user, but it's saying that that test demo already exists, which is why I'm not going to allow this over here. What you also want to do is you want to go ahead and make that submit button invisible. And what the submit button invisible, you take basically the same formula that you have over here, literally right up to this false, go ahead and copy it, prefix over there. In that submit, you come to the submit button, you go to its visible, and in the visible, you add the entire, like 90% of it is the exact same thing, except now you say that if it already exists, just go ahead and hide it. And this is what happens. Because this already exists, I'm completely avoiding the option to go ahead and even save it. That user proof is what I'm making over here. But if the user says, you know what, this is already there, which means let me just change that to test demo to test demo, say 2, then it changed it. In fact, you notice when I put test demo 1, it said yes. When it test demo 2, it said yes. Because what it did is it went in and saw that this is the entire UPN name over here. It went ahead and validated that through Azure AD using the Azure AD.get function. So that, yep, this one, there's nothing over there, which means you can go ahead and create that. Now, what's happening is you're getting these errors. And don't be alarmed by these errors. Let's take a look what it says. It basically says that this user right over there on the side says does not exist or one of its queried reference properties are not present, which is exactly what we're looking for. We wanted it to tell me that, hey, does this user exist over there? And it's giving me an error saying that the user doesn't exist, which is perfect because if the user doesn't exist, only then I'm going to create the account with that UPN name over there. So it works. But unfortunately, we get the checks over there, the error message. For this case, this scenario, go ahead and ignore that. But so now, if I go ahead and click on the test demo 2, click on test demo 2, finishes, I'll come back to all users over here. In fact, I refresh it. And now you can see, there's my test demo 2 right there. Come back into my Azure AD, in my Power Apps. I'm going to try to say, let me create this test demo 2. Like, nope, it already exists over there, and it went ahead and hit the box over there. So this is a fantastic way to go ahead and now through Power Apps, using a standard connector, you can go ahead and directly add users into Active Directory. That's one thing, Azure Active Directory. And you can even go ahead and say, hey, I want it enabled or disabled. You can even have that functionality over here. Now, like I mentioned before, I do want to call out that there are very limited attributes that you can put over there. So the only things, the big ones that we could not do, or the minor ones that we could not do was, put in like the state or the country and things like that. There are other ways to do a workaround for that, but I wanted to focus only on the Power Apps. The same thing happens even on the flow side, because if you go to the Power Automate, there is actually a connector and a function already available. If you go to connectors over here, it's going to the connectors, not connectors, templates. You go to the templates, and when you search in the templates for Azure AD, this Azure AD, click a button to create a new Azure AD user. This is already there, and it's pretty neat, but it did not have the functionality that I showed you, where you can go ahead and even validate, hey, does this user exist? It doesn't have that functionality over there. Also, if you can see, it doesn't have all the other functionalities that, well, it has office location, but wasn't able to go ahead and put in the city and the state and all that. So the limitation that I'm showing you is not just on the Power App side, it's on the Power Automate, and it's neither one of their two faults. It's the connector. The connector's got the limitation. But still, this is pretty neat. What I've shown you is right from your phone, you can start creating these Azure AD users with the standard connector. So hopefully this was helpful. If you've got any questions, go ahead and add it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, keep power apping.